which means we get to progress in the document. This is what it's all about. All right, so here we go. Let's get ready. Let's get to it. So, if I recall correctly, oh, this was just what is part. Okay, we actually have a different one here. Structuring part 2, yeah. And then I was going through this, and I think we're up to date here with what we're doing. Yeah. So we need to do the next part. So I guess just to give some context here, we're working on part 2. We're creating like the initial outline. Like we are at the very first stages of this thing. And we're trying to figure out what the narrative should be. And so far we've got a prologue where we recap like what we're doing here. Like what's the mission of part 1? I'm sorry, of part 2. Then we can take what we've gotten from part 1, what we concluded with, and explain how the connection arises. And then we want to have this note on individuality. What is this? A meta discussion about the premises. This would be part of part 1 stuff. Because we can... Yeah, we don't have to get to that right now. But yeah, note on individuality, acknowledge that everyone's predisposition and circumstances are unique. Frame the following sections not as rigid rules, but as a collection of powerful tools to be experimented with. The goal is to find what works for you. So that's kind of, you know, just like in part 1, this introduction, the prologue, kind of tells you everything that's going to happen here. So we're going to explain what we're doing here. We're going to explain once again, the power of our ability to reflect in the moment on what we can do and what we should do, and etc. And the fact that we can reflect on doing something that will affect whether or not we do it, and doing those things will affect how we understand the future, understand the world in the future. And then this individuality thing is a huge deal because, you know, we need to point out that the tools we're trying to build are for something that anyone could use, and it's up to each person to figure out how to use them and to what degree. So then we get into this major section, which I have so far like overarching concepts and key players involved. I think Gemini was saying like something like the operating system. The human operating system. Human circumstance. I don't know, that's a really weird way to say it. Circumstances. Yeah, I'm not sure how to go about the wording here, but the basic premise is, right, this section covers the fundamental operating system of the mind. Before we can effectively set and pursue goals, we need to understand and manage the core processes that enable and hinder our deliberate action. So we just want to introduce the key players here. Before we can effectively set and pursue goals, we need to understand and manage the universal processes and conditions of the mind that enables and hinders our deliberate action. We shouldn't go with just the mind though. Perhaps we shouldn't frame this as just the mind, but the body as well. Okay, so the context of you. So this is where we get to jump off of this note on individuality. And we actually get to cover all the different things that make people unique, make their circumstances unique, etc. Then we could talk about the core levers of agency. So this is like attention and focus, motivation. These are shared amongst everyone pretty much. Of course, we have to discuss though where this is not shared, like where this isn't completely similar, where obviously different people, might be dealing with different circumstances like ADHD, etc. Obviously, we're each in a different place in terms of our dopamine tolerance, etc. This is all going to affect our attention and focus. Motivation, yeah. So we got to talk about dopamine, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, the progress. We got to deal with more stuff than we even have here. Where these are going to be huge sections. Then we could deal with the internal obstacles. This is where we get to talk about biases, automatic drives and concerns, like anything that like gets in our way of what we are cognizant of. Let's just say, like, you might believe conceptually that you are driving towards some goal, and so the point of this section is to tell you all the things that might be getting in the way of what you think is a easy road. So and I guess this kind of goes towards the discussion of attention and motivation, because we are going to our attention is going to get captured by other things. So that's kind of, we get to leverage that here probably. Perhaps here we need to discuss the pitfalls of attention and motivation. Not that there's anything wrong with attention and motivation, but the way that it works for us can lead us towards scrolling TikTok all day. And then we can talk about the foundational support system. Our cognitive abilities are not separate from our physical state. So this is not the best way we want to say this, but ideally this is going to be like tools to overcome these obstacles and to maximize attention and focus and motivation. So this is not the right, I'll just say title to be determined. Maybe not the core levers, and maybe not the internal obstacles, but the context of you is kind of nice. All right. So that's where we left off. And now we're on this identifying what to pursue. And this is going to be a crazy section. Crazy, crazy stuff here. All right, so we want to jump to that on this side here. This major section has to include everything from simply, figuring out what we should pursue to how we should make sense in general. Like, how do we make sense of anything, or how can we effectively make sense? So like, this is why we have like logical reasoning. We have to have a discussion of what it means to be honest with oneself. Forms of thinking. And along the way, we're also talking about a bunch of tips and tools and, a lot of cool stuff there. Making explicit is going to be like the main opener. And then we can start getting into discussions of other things. Okay, so what is going on here? What do we want to do? I think we're going to want to get the Gemini conversation going here. Okay, let's move on to the next major section. Identifying what to pursue. Currently, this is what I have. And I'm just going to copy from this. Oh, no, I shouldn't do that. I think we should grab... Where am I going? Drive. We've got to grab the outline draft. And I'm pretty sure I took everything from this that I needed to. It's tricky. I don't know. I don't remember. So let's only get rid of this guy. I know I got everything from that. And right, we did all this. Motivation. Yeah, we put all this stuff together though. Where do we have stuff like scarcity? Did we not get through? Yeah, we did. Okay. Dealing with automatic biases and concerns. That would be here. We got all that. And we got all that. Okay. There we go. So let's just make sure that we didn't lose anything. So now we can grab these. Oh, I do have to get rid of all this, don't I? That's unfortunate. Is this pretty much the same that we had? Yeah, I think this is all pretty much the same. Pursuing goals effectively. That looks all the same. Epilogue, all the same. Okay. The only reason I'm getting into this extra document is so that we can download with Markdown or as Markdown. And the reason why that's nice is because now it knows the indentations, or it knows the full. It also knows the bold. It knows everything we have about styling here. Okay, currently this is what I have. How? Okay, let's discuss the narrative arc. All right. With the foundational toolkit in place, this section focuses on the what, how to use reflection to identify goals that are genuinely meaningful and aligned with your values. You can't aim for a target you can't see. The first step is to clarify your values. So yeah, it's going to be more than this though. It's going to be like, is to clarify where you are and what you want. And the current position. That's okay, through structured reflection. Let's dive into the narrative arc for section 2, identifying what to pursue. You've got all the essential ingredients listed. The key now is arranging them into a story that guides the reader logically from the need for introspection to the formulation of actionable goals. Based on your outline and overall mission of part 2, here's a potential narrative flow. Why look inward? Connecting back to section 1, frame it like this. Okay, we've explored the operating system, blah, 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 but power without direction is useless. Before we can effectively pursue goals, we need to figure out what goals are worth. We can, and yeah, it's, we got to get that full part, the full framing here. Before we effectively pursue goals, we need to figure out to clarify. We need to clarify where. Okay. Premise. What can we do? And what should we do? So it's like, where are we? What can we do? What should we do? What are we aiming for? Okay, this is good stuff. You can't aim for a target you can't see. The first is to clarify. Yep. Oh, that's already spoken for. This establishes the mission for Section 2. Reiterate the core ideas. You can't aim for a target you can't see. All right. Okay. The primary tool, deliberate thinking and reflection. So we can start going into we can start going into sections here. So it's going to be something like this, something like deliberate thinking and reflection. Should we talk about ideation? Introduce thinking. Okay, so we can reiterate what we've discovered in part 1 about deliberate reflection, how we can prompt the mind and listen for a response, which is do we have an M dash anywhere? The language model does, of course. One that is afforded to us by our predisposition. Thinking, especially writing, structured reflection, not just as one item on a list, but as a central. Okay. So there are tools for making sense. Oh, how about this? Making sense. That's what we should be calling it. Deliberate reflection and thinking. For making sense of where we are. Where we are and what is happening. This is where we talk about. Okay, so making explicit, being precise in speech. This is where we're trying to get to here. Oh, actually. Yeah, that would be first. Then it would be logical reasoning. Maybe being open. I think this is more of like a creativity thing. Like maybe the next section's called like ideation or something like that. This is where we can talk about being open. Why does this seem normal text? Did I really just make this bold? Being open, creativity. Honesty, though, this is something up here. And this is even before logical reasoning, I think. And then we have tool. This is going to be like specific tools for thinking. Something like this. Something like this. This is something that we don't want to actually do yet. This is going to be a part of goal setting. Being open, forms of thinking, we got that. Reflecting on values, etc. I feel like this is goal setting, but this is specifically determining where to go, whatever that's going to mean. This is going to be something like that. And then we've got tools for setting goals. Actually, then we could just do setting goals. Okay. So let's see what else has been added here and gank whatever we want. Introduce thinking, not just as one item, but the central engine for this entire section. This is how we gain clarity. This is how we gain clarity. Discuss the power of making the implicit explicit, being precise. Necessity of honesty and the importance of openness. Mention the various forms of, okay, yep. Applying the tool, discovering value, okay. But we had ideation here. We have like, should we have that under this section is the question. Show, so this is what? Determining where to go now. Discovering. Can be applied. This is where reflecting, okay, fits naturally. Emphasize clarifying what truly matters in context. Creativity here. It's the generative part of reflection, allowing us to explore possibilities and imagine potential futures. Ah, good idea. Good idea. Creativity. Let's just gank what it wrote. Then we've got this weird guy now. Being open. Being open should be in the one before here. It should be in thought. It should be here, yeah. Honesty, being open. We're gonna have to figure out what order to put these guys in. But that's, I think it's all good. Making sense of where we are. Making sense of the moment. I really like this idea of the moment being a like a unit of what we're like the of our experience. And then yeah, determining where to go is, we could do better than that, but connect this to self-identity and volition. Understanding your values and possibilities is how you construct a coherent narrative about who you are and what you choose to do. Mention tools like self-authoring suite. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. We have this twice now, so I can get rid of it here. Making it concrete, the art and science of goal setting. Making it concrete. This is the culmination of the section. Once you have insights from reflection, how do you translate them into actionable targets? Introduce goal setting as the bridge from introspection to execution. Sections. This is subsection. Oh, no, these are the sections, right? We have the major section, then we got the sections. From, oh, it gave, yeah, it's going to be section 1 now. This is more so introductory. We don't need an actual section for that. Discuss why well-defined goals work and the science behind them. Oh, we need to do this again. Connect this explicitly back to values. Okay. This is like setting a meaningful trajectory, maybe. Relevant. The implicit rules of goals needs to be this is probably in between here. Discuss why that works. Well-defined goals. Okay. I think this will be accounted for. I think a lot of goal science talks about breaking them down. So. Okay. Oh, look at that. So now we can say, now we can grab this and we can replace, and now we can download and throw it in. Okay, this is what I have. Are we missing anything that is crucial for this conversation? And then what was there anything that I thought that we should include? No, I don't think there was anything crazy that I thought. All right, then we're starting to get somewhere here. I mean, these are going to be huge sections. A lot of subsections, I think, throughout these. But we just don't know what's in the subsections yet. Presents a clear and logical... Okay, it effectively guides the reader for understanding the need for introspection to the practical methods. Narrative arc. Okay, introducing the core tool, making sense of the moment. Position deliberate reflection and thinking as the central engine for gaining clarity. Discussing the how and the tools provides the necessary practical grounding. Applying the tool. Oh, wait, do we do this twice? This is what we want, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, but this was talking about here. Do we not do we reference it? We don't reference it, so I don't know where it brought that. Huh. Oh, it's telling me to do that. Okay. This subsection logically follows by showing how reflection is applied to discover values, interests, and possibilities. Integrating creativity here as the generative aspect is a strong move. Connecting this exploration to constructing a coherent self-identity makes the purpose of this reflective work clear, culminating in actionable goals. Okay. Explicitly linking back to the values discovered earlier reinforces the theme. All right. Crucial elements check. Based on the mission, develop a practical framework for identifying and pursuing our goals, and the topics listed. This structure appears comprehensive for the identification phase. Right. Are we missing anything crucial? For the specific purpose of identifying goals, this outline seems robust. The flow is logical and the components are well defined. You've successfully integrated the key elements discussed previously. One minor point to consider during writing might be ensuring a smooth transition sentence or two between... Okay, obviously. This section sets the stage for section 3. Would you like to refine any part of this section further, or shall we move on to discuss the narrative arc for section 3, pursuing our goals effectively? Let's move on. So we gotta jump over back to here, and we have to grab this now. Let's make sure that this is actually... Okay, I was modifying this, right? I wasn't modifying this. That would be rather embarrassing. Okay, yeah. Let's get out of there. Okay, we've got pursuing goals effectively. Let's get a download. Okay, let's move on to the next major section. Pursuing goals effectively. This is what I have so far. What would be the driving narrative arc? What do you think would be an effective driving narrative arc? So we have a lot of stuff that we're going to have to place inside these skeletons that we're building right now. But we just need to make sure that the skeletons are built. Okay, let's look at the narrative arc for section 3. Your current outline has all the essential components. The task now is to sequence them into a compelling flow that builds logically from identifying goals. So let's work on here. Here's a potential narrative arc. Bridge from section 2 and setting the mindset. Start by explicitly connecting this section to the previous one. That's usually a good way to do it. We identify what goals are meaningful now in section. We focus on the practical how, the science and strategies for turning these intentions into reality. Yes, framing. Immediately follow this by introducing framing. Position this as the crucial first step in execution. Establishing the right mental framework is the foundation for resilience in navigating the challenges ahead. How you frame your journey mentally sets the stage. So this is going to be a separate whole section, I think. Framing. I think we could do a lot there. So, setting the mindset. Setting the mindset. Building the engine of consistency, habits. Is this what we want to do next? There's framing. Deliberately applying a bias to ourselves. Nice. Right. And we're biasing ourselves. Okay. This is going to be... I feel like learning and habits are together. Am I off on that one? Frame this as the shift from relying on finite willpower to creating automated systems that make progress the default path. Explain the habit loop. Yeah, but then learning needs to be like, position this not as academic studying, but as essential meta skill required to acquire the competence needed for almost any goal. Do you think that habits and learning should be together? It seems that in many cases, building certain habits of thought is akin to learning. And learning similarly overcomes sheer willpower by reframing the landscape ahead. That's a terrible way to say it, but let's run with it. All right, let's see. Let's see if this is convincing enough. I mean, these are separate topics, but they could be under a similar, like, overarching idea. Placing habits and learning back to back and framing them as two sides of the same coin makes the narrative for section 3 much stronger. Habits are how you automate learning. The goal of learning is to acquire a new skill or habit of thought so it becomes second nature. Deliberate practice, retrieval practice, these are habits. Learning is how you inform your habits. So how does this do? The engines of execution, building systems for progress. Core idea, this is the heart of execution. We overcome the limits of willpower by building two interconnected engines. Oh, this is tough. There's going to be so much in each of these, though. I wonder if we should just... Now I'm kind of thinking that we have them separate, but learning should be first. Because you don't want to set habits that you're going to want to modify immediately. Or perhaps should we keep these separate and have the learning section come prior to the habits section so that we can make these points in that second section. Make these connections in that subsequent section. also, okay. In my mind, it seems that learning is how we discover new ways to frame and building an habitual. Does this fall under habitualization? What is it? And then what is habituation again? Now we want habitualization is how we lock in on a certain way of being that we deliberately want to. We also need to keep in mind that during the habits section, we will need to discuss how to break habits that we don't want to keep, that we think are detrimental to our goals. It's getting tricky. Right, I like this premise. I think that this willpower is difficult and finite. Here we need to, we will discuss ways to optimize, to minimize the willpower needed. We will ways to strategically to question that. And your second, intuition is a key insight. Place learning before habits creates a much stronger and more logical narrative. Learning is how we discover new ways to frame, and habitualization is how we lock in on a certain way of being. That's what I wrote. This discovery to implementation flow is incredibly powerful. Here's how it strengthens the narrative arc for section 3. Because that's what studying is. You're trying to build a habit of thought. So, framing, you start by setting the meta mindset for the entire pursuit. Learning can be about this section gives the readers the tools to discover new, more effective strategies. They learn about retrieval practice. They learn about deliberate practice. They learn what a better thought pattern looks like. This is the knowledge acquisition phase. And then habits. Habit and routine. Framing, learning. This section becomes the implementation and automation phase. It answers the question, okay, I've learned the better way. Now how do I make myself actually do it without burning out my willpower? So I think we should have this willpower thing be like a running idea. There are, so the willpower rationale. There are ways to strategically frame the situation in order to reduce the willpower necessary to continue. The willpower rationale here is building a clearer understanding of the problem or goal. Will allow for a more optimal path. Something like that. And then the willpower rationale here would be how to actually make ourselves do the thing. Ourselves. Something like that. Handling breaking bad habits. This new order also provides the perfect context for discussing how to break bad habits. Just as you notice, you could frame it like this. In the learning section, you learn to identify the cues and functions. I don't know if this works. Should we have this, like, learning about oneself? Learning about one's self. So this is where we can actually talk about how to keep track and pay attention to our own trajectory. This is a segue. This is a setup for considering which habits we want to break in the following section. So then here we can say that. We could say then in the habit section, you apply the practical tools. We can apply the practical tools to deconstruct the old loops, install new replacement behavior. We what we learn about ourselves from the previous section. Okay, so let's just make sure that we're not losing anything from this initial discussion. Introduce building habits and routines as the primary engine for sustained long-term progress. Yeah. Incremental growth. Explain the habit loop and practical strategies like habit stacking, environmental design, and implementation intentions. This addresses the consistency needed for any significant goal. Beautiful. Accelerating progress through skill acquisition, transition to learning. Position this not just as academic studying. Well, we do want to actually have specifically studying as the studying as building habits of thought. This would be nice to have after the learning section, but what are we gonna do? Yo, Cafe, what am I even doing? Well, we have part 2 of this document, identifying and pursuing our goals. As previously mentioned, this is part of the full thing. We got part 1. This is like the philosophy stuff. That's what my video pertained to. It's all part 1 stuff, understanding the world and our freedom within it. Exploring the world as we experience it, examining how our perception and underlying understanding is shaped. From there, we consider how we can deliberately frame our experience to act intentionally. So that's, all we do in this first one is find some sense of free will. Find some sense of how can we actually just like direct ourselves towards something or reflect on something, etc., and what that means. And then the second one, this is what we're currently outlining, practical strategies for identifying and achieving our goals. Building on this foundation, we develop strategies to effectively identify and pursue our values and goals. These tools are intended to help us bridge the gap between our aspirations and the realities we face. Well, that seems cool. Let me offer a typing tip, if you don't mind, since you're typing a lot of this out. Absolutely, please help me out. So like right now, this is like the very begin. So first of all, just to give some backstory, part 1, these whopping 115 pages, took me about a year and a half, and I was pretty much streaming the whole time, and so I'm expecting that part 2 is going to take a long time. But this is like a really important part where I think this is actually going to be nicer, where we have a really nice narrative arc of like how to go through this content. So, did you know that instead of typing backspace over and over again to delete a word, you can hold Control backspace. This will delete an entire word before the cursor. Ooh. I probably didn't. You know what? I usually do the Shift Control backspace, but I guess that's also pretty nice. Yeah, thank you very much. I definitely was not using that, and I could certainly use that more. I have to now, in the same discussion as habit and routine, now I have to pay close attention to when I need a backspace and make sure I use that, because that's how we build habits. Not just as the essential meta skill required to acquire the competence needed for almost any goal. Do we have this in there right now? This is like a meta skill. Frame it as the accelerator. Once you have consistency habits, effective learning speeds up your progress dramatically. Oh, they did it in the opposite order here. Yeah, no, I don't like this as much. Detail the science of effective learning, introducing all these things. I've heard some people are skipping the whole goal thing and just asking ChatGPT for lotto numbers. Hey, didn't that work for someone? Now, granted, that's survivorship bias, but we will learn about survivorship bias in this document. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to make this stuff useful for anyone. Granted, yeah, if someone doesn't actually want to pursue goals, then I guess this isn't the document for them. I think people do want the outcome of this document, which is to to have a meaningful, or to feel like their life is meaningful and emotionally rewarding. But what that involves is a lot of responsibility. So I don't know if people are always down for that. They want to have their cake and eat it too, or eat their cake and have it too. No, this is good. It's good to see using AI to actually help with goals rather than to cheat on a test. Yeah, I think about AI as like having a professor in your pocket, except this is a professor for every single subject that you could possibly use. And granted, it is not correct all the time, and it does require you to be on your toes, but that's actually kind of nice because it helps you, be on your toes. And that's something that I think we need to be. Appreciate the ghost flying across the screen too. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'll probably keep it through Halloween. I really should have like a costume ready for is that Monday? No, that's literally Friday. Oh wow. Why did I think that today was Saturday? Or Friday. All right. Yeah, we should do something fun on Friday for that. I'll have to find something to wear. I don't know. I'll think of something. Detail. Yeah, unfortunately, this like I'm trying to be as comprehensive about this as possible. So, like, part 1 is comprehensive about the science and philosophy around how we can understand our experience and understanding and our freedom. And unfortunately, we have to be comprehensive here with all the practical stuff. So if there's something that pertains to learning, I have to learn it. So we might as well keep up the progress, and slowly but surely we'll build a really effective tool. Okay, explain how this connects to habits. All right, so we don't have that anymore. Okay, but then we have leveraging the environment, leveraging the social environment, leveraging social relationships, the social environment. This is the force multiplier. Get out of here. Frame it this way. You don't just achieve your goals in isolation. Your social environment can be either your greatest asset or your biggest obstacle. Wow. Discuss the power of accountability, mentorship, surrounding yourself with the right people, and potentially effective communication within this context. This covers the external support systems. And what do we have already for this? This was for building habits. Make progress the default path. Okay, I could just include both of those things. Yo, Onion Helmet, what's good? After Halloween, add the Christmas decorations on screen. Oh, I will gladly do that. I am a big Christmas all year, honestly. I'll do Christmas all year. Hopefully that doesn't deter anyone from this channel, but But yeah, let's get some Christmas stuff going. All right, what do we need? Oh, I had it like this. Okay, that's why I came up with that. The habit loop, practical strategies. This all goes here. Discuss the power of accountability. Okay. Building habits and routines, learning how this interconnects with habit building to provide more insight into how to directly achieve goals. Nice. The science of effective. Actually, what did I just get rid of? How about just provides more insight into, and then I think I already have this somewhere in the learning section. Yeah. Okay, we don't need this anymore. Science of effective learning. Studying. Ooh. Yeah, we have to talk about studying. But I think at the habits part, we can talk about habits of thought. Habits of thought. Science effective learning. Okay, we can get rid of that. We can start just adding stuff here. Leveraging relationships and community. Accountability and mentorship. Surrounding yourself. Okay, we already have all that stuff. Integrating concrete application, addressing the low level. Rather than having a separate low level section, we've concrete examples and specific tactics into the discussion of framing. Okay. Oh, I see. Right. When discussing habit stacking, give specific examples. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I think we don't lose anything here. Well, I'll see ya. Interesting stuff. I hope you achieve. Yeah. Just check back in, whenever you want to see the progress happen. Hopefully, and maybe like set a reminder for a year from now, and maybe we'll have something pretty nice. I'm gonna keep making videos, so definitely stay tuned. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. All right. I'll definitely check back in. Nice. I subscribed. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited to see the difference of the YouTube versus Twitch community, and hopefully we all come together, perhaps at the Discord. But it will be cool to see this development. I'm very excited, which is why the work cannot stop. Okay, so this. Yeah, this stopped after the community stuff. And then the new... Yep. The force multiplier, leveraging relationships and community. Harnessing your social environment for support, accountability, and accelerated learning. Accountability and membership. Okay, designing your social environment. Choosing your tribe. Yo, what? This flow. Okay. It's extremely logical. Nice. I will take the... the positive direction there. The positive affirmations. All right, let's go. Markdown. All right, this is what I have. How does it look? What am I missing from this discussion? Because this is quite important. We need to be able to pursue our goals effectively here. So what's the next? The next one already brought us to the epilogue? I feel like that's not right. I think then I don't think the epilogue should be that. Yeah, I don't know what the epilogue would be. Maybe it would be that. I'm convincing myself over and over. Okay, the outline looks strong. Successfully incorporated the structure and narrative arc we discussed, creating a logical and compelling flow for the reader. Narrative arc assessment. Framing is correctly positioned as the foundational first step, setting the mental stage for resilience and effective action. Learning follows logically, providing the tools for knowledge acquisition and understanding how to pursue goals more effectively, including the crucial step of learning about oneself to identify habits needing change. It's not just going to be habits needing change. It's going to be learning about positive and negative here. Thank you, Stream Elements. Then we've got habit and routine. I also have to deal with, like, for some reason, for the first year and maybe 2 months of my streaming, I just didn't even register that everyone can hear that little click when a chat message comes up. I use that for myself so that I don't miss a chat message that happens after 30 seconds of inactivity in chat. But everyone hears it, and it also I noticed this when I was editing a stream video, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually kind of clunky, but it does help out. Ideally, what I should do is have it not be a part of the, is it desktop audio? Yeah, to not be part of desktop audio, but somehow get to me. And I don't know how that works yet. And when I say that, I mean I haven't put any time into figuring that one out. All right, narrative arc assessment. Crucial elements check. Based on the goal of providing a practical how-to toolkit, this outline covers the essential evidence-based domains. You've also successfully integrated the need for concrete examples by detailing specific techniques within the relevant subsections. Potential minor refinements, not crucial missing pieces. While the outline is comprehensive, consider if these minor points could add value during writing. Strengthen the link between learning and habits of thought. Explicitly bridge how the strategies learned in the learning section become the content of the habits of thought subsection within habits. Show how habit mechanisms apply to mental routines. So yeah, I think we have that. Briefly mention handling failure or setbacks. I don't think it fits under either of these, but it's going to have to fit under the next thing we do, which I don't think should be an, yeah, I'm going back and forth. What click? Do you not hear a click when on stream? when you type in chat, it might be 30 seconds by now. Let's wait 5 more seconds. Do we not have a? I was hoping we had a seconds count. I'm guessing now you're good. But when the next chat message comes here, there's a click in my ear and also a click in the video that gets output. And I just assume that it's something everyone hears. Wait a second. Why do I have mic/aux? What is that coming from? All right, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I just heard it. No. So right when I typed that stuff in, there was a click in my ear. It's like a very subtle click. But yeah, it only happens after 30 seconds of inactivity in the chat. Oh, I should just go on Twitch. Oh, I can't go back. I can't go back in time. So maybe I have to go to YouTube. Do we get another comment? Oh, you kind of look like Pete Buttigieg. Yo. Oh, I made it. I've made it. I'm gonna flaunt that one. That's better than, I don't know if you were here, but I totally forgot to tell anyone about this. Someone on here said that I looked like Sheldon Cooper. I gotta start writing these down. Where would I want to write this down? Yeah. Did you hear that one? Which one do you think is the troll? What am I even doing right now? I'm trying to go here. Okay. Do we have sound? What am I even doing right now? Yeah. Oh. I gotta start writing these down. Oh no, okay. We gotta find where I actually just showed it on screen when I typed it. Yeah. Do you hear that? This is what I hear. It's very subtle. All right, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I just heard it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you hear it even from this video? Like you just triggered it right there. I actually just showed it on screen when I typed it. Subtle. All right, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I just heard it. Oh yeah. Do you hear it even from this video? Like oh yeah. Do you hear it even from this video? Like you just triggered it right there. I actually just showed it on screen when I typed it. Now you'll never be able to unhear it. Subtle. So that's how you can tell how much latency there is. I don't know if you could hear it on the stream or if you could only hear it on the video after the stream happens. But it is there. Man, I gotta give this an absolute heart and a like. All right. I could hear Onion Helmet #1. Oh, did it show somewhere? Was there something that showed Onion Helmet #1? Oh. What is... Oh, Restream bot is #1. Oh, I see. Top fans. What does this mean? XP? There's an XP system on YouTube? Very nice. What is the XP system? I don't know anything about YouTube Live. What is the... And then what about the edit video? Can I actually just edit all of these? Because I want to get rid of this made with Restream. But maybe I'm not allowed to do that. All right, what are we at? Hour? Address setbacks. Okay, so now this gets a little less clear cut. I have this one last major section called the full practical picture. Originally, I had this as epilogue, but I think it makes more sense to have it as the more of a climax than an epilogue, and perhaps we will find out we will determine what should be in an epilogue, and if there should even be one later. Here is what I have for this full practical picture. Name needs work. Major section attached. This is where addressing setbacks should go. It basically... Yo, Searcar, welcome back. Hola. How goes it? Yo, that's a lot of emojis. We're in the weeds where we're practicing, not practicing, we're working on the part 2 outline. So this is going to be what I'm going to be working on for probably all of 2026. We're like doing the initial outline of this part 2, which means that like it's really important that we get the narrative flow right, organized. Yeah, we gotta be organized. There's a lot of stuff. Like I say this all the time, but I'm trying to be comprehensive about these topics, which means that we need to include everything. So also, if there's something that you think deserves to be in this discussion of identifying and pursuing our goals, then let me know. But yeah, I think we're at what the climax of this part 2 is going to be, which is going to be something like the full practical picture, where we take all the tools that we've gone through already, like habit and routine, learning, etc., framing, all that stuff. Yeah, this is where we put it all together and have a more like a discussion about how we can deal with this practice over time, essentially. Personal goals or specific to topic? Personal mind flow chart on how to truly take in and understand topics. It seems. I mean, this is just this is abstract, so it's for all the above. Like this is for regardless of what your goals are, how you can identify them and pursue them, and this should help you out no matter who you are, what your goals are, etc. Like it's as low level as we can get in this space. Now, granted, we can't tell you that you need to, if your goal is to, get a PR in some strength training exercise, we can't tell you that you ought to go and lift weights or something like that. But we can tell you what you might do in order to figure out how you can PR. It's like it's very, very abstract. It seems curious. Education, it looks comprehensive to me. Nice, thank you. Yeah. And then then we've got to do the whole part 3, which is going to be the comprehensive view of how to live a meaningful and emotionally rewarding life. But the nice thing is we get to leverage everything we've done in part 2 and part 1. What did I study? I studied computer science. So I'm out of my element here. But in some sense I am in my element, because I would much rather be doing this every day, all day, than software engineering, even though software engineering is pretty cool. I could see the logical framework at work. Yeah, that's the tricky thing. I'm a very pragmatic, logical thinker, I think. And we're going to become even more logical thinkers when we go through the section on, where do we have it? On making sense. I have it making sense of the moment, but it's really deliberate reflection and thinking. So this is going to include things like logical reasoning and stuff like that. Being precise in speech. Yeah. Tools for thinking. We got to get LLMs in there. Yeah, just all the above. It's going to take a while. We'll get there. Onion Helmet can attest to how we've gone from straight up skeletal outlines to... I don't even think I had an outline when Onion Helmet came here first. I think I was literally going through random notes. Have you ever heard of dedicated practice? In music, it is a concept. I have not. Dedicated practice. Also known as deliberate practice, is a highly structured and purposeful method for skill improvement that focuses on specific weaknesses and uses expert feedback to guide progress. Oh, we really need to talk about like improving skills that isn't just learning. This would be, it would be right after habit and routine, right? It would be like, just like general skill acquisition. And then this is where we would put dedicated practice. It was just a bunch of paragraphs, yeah. Reminds me of that a little. Yeah, I mean, anything that is necessary, like we got to include everything here. So this is something to consider. And for motor skills, does this even make sense to have a motor skills section here? Like for motor skills, there's some key things you can do. Yo, Darmadon, what's good? So for a guitarist, instead of constantly doodling, applying some dedicated time to learning theory and scales. I don't mind constant doodling. I believe Hendrix said his life was just one long jam. Very nice. Nothing wrong with learning. And nothing wrong with doodling. Should we have a whole section on doodling? I do it all the time, unfortunately. Yeah, actually, I've got one of those large mouse pads, and you know, it kind of does that thing where, like, when you I use one of these pens, and it's not like I'm writing on it, but when I just like scrape the mouse pad, it creates a mark, and so I just doodle on this thing, and then somehow after a while of probably me rubbing my arm over it, it gets rid of the doodles. Nothing beats hours playing. I'm guessing you're referring to guitar again. Yeah, I think we have to go into all the literature on all these topics. Yeah, so I'm looking at this section right now. The full practical picture. So it's not just going to piece things together. It's going to be like, how do we follow our trajectory over time, and how do we make adjustments? How we can follow and adjust our trajectory over time. And what do I need? I need to grab this. So I wouldn't want to do this here, but I would want to grab this. I should say all I have. Yeah, you know what? No, this should be, okay, this should be epilogue, but it should not include that topic. Maybe this goes here. This would be something like, I don't know, trajectory over time. Pursuit over time. So I'm gonna actually have to go through and change this stuff. But, oh yeah, hope you have a good day as well, Sarkar. Alrighty. My friend. Yeah, peace and love. Okay, let's okay, so now this gets a little less clear cut. I'm thinking that we need a major section on something like trajectory over time. I could get rid of this stuff. I think it makes sense to have this as the climax, where we have a full discussion, piecing together all we've discussed into, I don't know, a zoomed out picture, something like that. I'm not sure what should come after this. For example, what, in other words, what the epilogue would be. If there even should be one. This is where addressing setback should go. Oh, I'm going to grab this and put it sooner. Okay, let's figure this one out. And then next week, unless I'd want to do this during the weekend, but hopefully I'm working on a video in this weekend. Hopefully I'm prepared to film on Saturday. That would be kind of nice. And then, yeah, next week we can start piecing, I could start adding everything that was below here into the right spot in the actual fleshed out outline up top here. So we will get closer. Okay, this is a crucial insight. The first 3 sections build the toolkit, but the application of the toolkit isn't a single linear event. It's a continuous dynamic process over a lifetime, or over a, some space, some set of time until you reach your goal. This new section is the perfect climax because it synthesizes everything into a practical long-term strategy. Okay. So revisiting that as a process. Actually, you know what? I think I should just modify this. Keep in mind, actually, no, I should just modify where I talk about this. Not yet at the scale of our life, but at the abstract scale of pursuing our concrete goals. Part 3 will talk about this at the scale of life. That said, we should still talk about like self-identity and stuff like that as it pertains to our goals in part 2, I think. It's the how-to guide for using the entire toolkit in a real messy dynamic world. You're right to feel the old epilogue is now redundant. Your section 4 is the conclusion. It absorbs, I don't know if it's going to be the conclusion. It absorbs all the reflective notes you had and gives them a powerful active purpose. The operator said the destination. This is more than just the destination. The vehicle. Nice. This is like finding the destination, finding the space, mapping out the space. The vehicle that gets you to through the space. But now this is like the driver's guide of how to actually steer, course correct, and handle the journey over time. Nice. Here is a proposed outline for this new section. Addressing okay, yeah. Managing your trajectory. Managing your trajectory. Nice. That's a better title. The full iterative picture. So the epilogue is going to be something like maximizing to life. What's the word here? Extending to life. All right. Introduction, zooming out. Start by explaining that the foundations. Yep. This is good. We don't want that. This section puts it all in motion. The goal isn't just to set and forget it. The real skill and the link back to part one's freedom as a process is the continuous loop of action, feedback, and realignment. Right, this is the full practical picture, not just a static snapshot, but a dynamic process. Okay. The engine of reassessment. Reassessment, gauging the trajectory, noticing your trajectory. Gauging trajectory. I don't think, oh, managing your trajectory, here we go. I don't think we have your as like a, yeah, identifying what to pursue, not what you should pursue. Determining where to go, making sense of these things, which would mean that managing trajectory. All right, so this is going to be reassessment. This is going to be something like taking stock and reassessment and reassessing. Terrible name for now, but let's keep it. This is where you bring back the tools of reflection, but frame them as ongoing maintenance tools, not just setup tools. The goal to create deliberate feedback loops. How do you know if you're on track? This is the perfect place for addressing feedbacks. Setbacks. Frame setbacks, failures, off days, not as moral failings, but as crucial data points. Setback is simply a signal. What? No, this is not right. Setback is simply between your plan and reality. Let's not do that. It's the most valuable data you can get. Noticing these explicitly is the most valuable data you can get. Is valuable data. Process of realignment, steering the ship. Taking stock of progress. Realignment. How about that? Once reassessment gives you data, once we get data from the previous section, this section explains what to do with it. This is where we piece it all together. I'm gonna just kind of add these things here. I'm not sure if this is the way that we want to go about it, but oh, this was my own wording. I mean, this could have been the LLM, but okay, yeah, this is what we want to do in the next section. Oh, this is your relationship. Okay, yeah. Relationship with the process. I could throw that there. This is the philosophical payoff. Right. Relationship with the framework. Relationship with self. These are things that I have already that I'll place in there. So we're revisiting freedom as a process. Goes nice. Conclusion, the bridge to part 3. Now let's do a separate epilogue. How did we do this in part 1? In part 1, we have a practical path forward, and that's a full section. So this could be a section called Extending to Life, and this is going to be was it path to part 3. Boom. Okay. It's the end of part 2. After the a single paragraph. You now have a complete framework for identifying, pursuing, and skillfully managing. Yeah, now this isn't gonna, we'll cut it. Specifically making the ultimate goal focusing on our ultimate goal, how to live a life that feels meaningful, emotionally rewarding. I think we should just do meaningful and emotionally rewarding, because purposeful, I think, falls under meaningful. And I think morality also falls under meaningful. I think that's really what's going on. Like, there's nothing that inherently, there's no reason why we inherently want to live a moral life, other than the fact that the moral story of our life contributes to it feeling purposeful or meaningful. So that's why we have to discuss morality. It's to build up the meaningful part. But then obviously emotionally rewarding is there. And you can live an emotionally rewarding life without ever thinking about morality, I think. Or not. Maybe the other thing to point out is that, actually, yeah, that's probably not the case. Following what Dr. K said, is you feel the emotionally rewarding life after the life feels meaningful. It's not that you feel a meaningful life because it's emotionally rewarding, but you know, he puts it in that direction. So perhaps we do as well. So we'd have to go like everything that he talks about, which is like self-determination. Yeah, I think part of that is the moral aspect, but then definitely the kind of the going past your bounds, I think hits on the moral for sure. And the fact that others are there, you know, I think yeah, we'll probably have to have morality connected to all of it, but we'll see. We'll see what needs to go on. Oh, conclude by posing the final question. Okay. Um, okay, so I don't need this anymore. I don't know if we want this day of the life type thing. That's kind of already done, but what would the epilogue be then? What would the epilogue be? I don't think we need an epilogue. Unless I think of something. Following through, it seems like the epilogue should relate to the prologue. Like just following what we did in part 1. I feel like it would have to go back to on individuality, but we already do that here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'll have to sleep on it a few times over. For now, we can go and copy all of this, throw it into this, download this, throw this guy here. Okay, this is what I have for that climactic major section. Let's see. Okay, capture the narrative flow, transforming what could have been a simple epilogue. Okay. Data, action, meaning, next steps. The premise. Static tools, yep, will now be put into motion. Data collection, taking stock of progress. Reframe tools like journaling. Okay, yep, importantly, this is their stuff. Frame setbacks, failures, and updates, not as troubleshooting, realignment here. It's not necessarily troubleshooting. Like sometimes we just learn stuff. Okay, philosophical payoff. Is there any major concept slash idea that you think deserves to be in that major section? I mean, granted, we're going to get much more out of the language model once we put everything that needs to be in each of these sections into them, such that we can then say, okay, what is missing? Like, we want to be absolutely comprehensive here. Obviously, there's a ton missing currently. But that said, yeah, I think now we get to ask for like major things. I don't think you're missing any foundational pillars. However, there are two major concepts that could be explicitly named and integrated to make this section even more robust and practically effective. The power of positive reinforcement. Yes, yes, yes. This is going to be here. This is going to be... Ooh. Power of positive. So where would this be? Taking stock of progress. The missing half of that feedback loop is framing successes as crucial data points as well. Yes. Yeah. Celebrating successes. Yep. Hell yeah. This is great. All right, let's get both of these guys in there. Where it fits, you can add this directly into the taking stock of progress subsection. You can frame it as getting the full set of data. All right, the wisdom of pivoting. Distinguishing grit from sunk cost. All right, this is going to just be in here. Pivoting. Yes. Ah, nice. Yes. This is one of the highest level strategic dilemmas a person faces. It's the antidote to the sunk cost fallacy. Yeah. Adds a crucial layer of wisdom to the concept of grit. Yep. This concept empowers the reader by showing that changing a goal isn't failing. Nice. Okay, let's keep going on that same prompt, because those were great additions. What else would be... What else would this section benefit from? Managing goal portfolios, prioritization, and prioritization. Yeah. Where would this be? Ooh. This would be earlier. This would be in identifying what to pursue. It would be like here. Prioritization and trade-offs. Yeah. Oh, this is a good point. Do we want to have this later on? This is like a epilogue topic. Nah, I think it has to go here. It's too important. And attention scarcity. Get out of here. Oh, this is so tough. So what am I trying to retain here? Because these are great ideas for later. Like a later discussion. But it also fits here. What fits here? Certainly the idea that it's something like determining what's most important and necessary. But this stuff, this portfolio of goals, like once we now start talking about goals plural, this can be a later topic. Which actually could be a good epilogue discussion. So this is going to be something like managing. Yeah, goal. This is where the extending to life gets really important. So I might actually say this could be a good way to do this. Epilogue. Managing many goals. Something like, I mean, this could change, and maybe managing many goals is then becomes a a section like this within it, name TBD, yeah, the idea would be that the managing trajectory major section is still in the context of a concrete goal and its sub goals, but in the epilogue we can start discussing how this we can have this discussion, the fuller discussion that bridges part 2 and part 3. Or do we want to just move that to part 3? I'm thinking that we either have or simply move it to part 3. It's a concept that part 3 need to leverage. All right, I'm gonna just ask that. What's this one? Honing intuition, adapting to external shocks. Oh, wow. I feel like this is setbacks, right? Addressing setbacks is perfect for internal errors, like I procrastinated. This concept addresses external shocks. Concepts completely out of your control. It's a larger topic. Honing intuition, the felt sense of the trajectory. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we want this. This is also taking stock. Yep. Okay. Now let's figure out what this was what this responded with. Then I might call it. And your intuition to move it to part 3 is the strongest strategic choice. Here's why it creates a much more powerful and logical narrative for the entire document. Creates a clear, clean separation of scope. Part 2 becomes the complete guide to the process of pursuing a given goal. Its mission is to build the toolkit. It answers, how do I identify a goal, build the systems to pursue it, and manage my trajectory to achieve it. Part 3 then becomes the guide to the strategy of living a life, which is inherently a portfolio management problem. It answers, now that I have a toolkit to achieve any goal, how do I choose which goals to pursue? Yeah. How do I manage the trade-offs between them? Right. So let's just start adding this to part 3 then. Where to put it? Let's just put it randomly. But adding this makes it unmissable. It avoids diluting the climax of part 2 about the iterative process. Tacking on a complex new topic. Yep, after that climax. Could feel like an appendix and would dilute its impact. True. I feel like there's something that we can do in this epilogue, though, and it's gonna be tricky. So let's get this guy going. Okay, I think we're good. We're done. We've got everything. Except we don't know what this epilogue could be. I do want to include an epilogue because I think that there's probably a lot that we can discuss leading up to part 3, but we don't want to take something that should be in part 3 and put it here. So yeah, that's going to be tough. Like, it really just worked out in part 1 that there was something to talk about that prepares us for part 2, but that didn't deserve to be in part 2. So we'll think of something, or not. But regardless, I think I'm going to call it here. Thank you for hopping in and chilling, everyone who did today. And yeah, even though this stuff isn't as fun as the stuff we've been doing, it's going to allow us to have a lot of fun in the future. So, have a good rest of the day.